working days to submit the assignment. কোনো question আছে? You guys have any questions? Anyone? Right. So
Sir,
What will
let's
be the
start the top.
marks distribution?
What?
What will be the new marks distribution since there is no group project now?
No, the assignment যেটা ছিল, I think it was 10 marks, right? What was it?
15 marks.
Achha, so 15, I would make it 15. So then in that case, I'll have let's say কত ছিল? Midterm was 25, right? 25 plus
Yes.
15 plus 10 plus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. How much is it? এখানে কত আছে?
তো এখানে 55
55, so 45 যদি করি, we have 100. Okay, so the quiz will be 20, exam will be 40. So now the quiz will be 20, all right? The weight on the quiz. So it's like midterm 25, quiz equals to 20. আমারই কাজ বেড়ে গেল। Assignment 10, then attendance and participation 5, আমার এটা হয়ে গেল কেন? Attendance participation, then আর কি আছে, the final 40. Yeah, that's it. ঠিক আছে, clear everyone? So this will be our new mark distribution. Alright, কোনো question আছে marks distribution নিয়ে? Okay. So let's discuss of the output and cost. Last class we talked about the output labor factor, the capital factor, short run, long run, and the average product, marginal product of labor, right? So can anyone tell me the formula for average product of labor? The formula
Q by L.
Q by L, good. So basically output over labor. Now remember we are looking at the short run where we have only one factor which can be changed, which is labor. Here you can't really change K. So K is fixed. The capital is fixed. So AP equals to Q by L. MP equals to, what was MP? The marginal product of labor or marginal product here?
Del Q by del L.
Good. So del Q by del L. So change in quantity due to change in labor. Now this is actually the productivity. In our daily life we use the term productivity, right? So what is productivity? This is the productivity of labor. So this reflects productivity. So how much more you are producing because you increase the factor of production, increase the resource. So here it's labor. So for example, how much more marks you're getting due to your higher effort. So higher effort both, let's say you increase the number of study hours. So how much that additional hours of study helped you on getting a higher score. So this is important. So productivity. Now, which one gives us a better idea? Or so what is this? This falls under producer's theory, right? So if you are a producer, you have to make a decision. So which parameter, let's say, will give you um, or would help you to make better decisions. So is it AP or MP? Is it AP or MP? Anyone?
So it's MP
Why?
because I can compare from my previous like production amount and my next production amount, and then I can make a decision like if I should hire more
Very
laborers.
good. Good. Very good. So yeah, so you see, MP is a good indicator. I'm not going to say it's not a good indicator, but MP gives you more precise information. It provides you more precise information, accurate information. In which way? Just like she mentioned, whenever I change the factor, let's say I have decided to hire someone. After hiring that person, if I see my production, so my AP might go up, but my MP is not increasing. If this happens, if this is the case, then AP would indicate the overall production increased, the overall production as in like the Q increased. However, MP would so MP would reflect on the fact that the productivity is actually not increasing. In other words, I am not getting any marginal benefits or additional benefits from hiring another worker. So I'm spending on that person, but I'm spending money, I'm giving salary or wages, but I'm not getting any significant output. So MP gives us more precise data. So that's why it's very important for us to know AP and AP. Now I give this example, and I'm going to give you this example here as well. So think of walking for about 2 hours. All right. So you go out for a morning walk, and let's say you walk about 6 kilometers in 2 hours. So what is the average product here? So what's the average product here? So 6 km, 2 hours. So what's the average product per 30 minutes? Let's say I've given you 30 minutes. So what's the AP per 30 minutes? Anyone?
So 1.5 kilometer.
So it is 1.5 kilometers per 30 minutes, right? This is the average. It is there anyone who didn't get how he calculated 1.5? Anyone? কেউ আছেন কি? Raise your hand তাহলে হবে. All right. So 6 kilometers, 2 hours ke I will divide into 30. So block of 30, so which is 4, right? So that's why it is 1.5. Right. So it is 1.5 kilometers per 30 minutes. Now, what does this mean? So what's the issue here? There's a problem here. What is the problem? কে বলতে পারবে? So this is a classic problem of the average calculation. What is the issue here? Anyone? What's the issue here?
So the unit,
No, unit as in?
like it's one is in kilometers and another is in 30 minutes. It should be per hour.
No, 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 that's not a problem because that's not an issue.
Okay.
আমি তো এখানে বলে দিয়েছি 30 minutes, per 30 minutes. That's not an issue. এটা আমি per minute দিলেও same. So what's the issue here? Average.
Sir, because maybe I'm not calculating it for like 1 unit. I'm calculating for 30 minutes. But if I calculated like for 1 minute, then I
You
could.
can do that, not a problem. So 6 divided by, let's say, 2 times koto hours, 60 minutes. So you can calculate it, but the problem remains. So it's not like it's going
I
away
don't
anywhere.
know
It's more like a conceptual. It's not. It has nothing to do with units. It's more like conceptual. Hi, Bolan.
I don't know if in the first 30 minutes how much distance I covered of the 6 kilometers. I can't
Exactly.
get that from the
So
AP.
what this indicates, very good. This indicates that I'm assuming. What am I assuming here? So I'm saying on average I've covered 1.5 kilometers every 30 minutes. So it's intuition. I'm assuming something. I'm assuming consistency, right? So if 10 people are working and producing 100 units, I'm assuming everyone is contributing equally. So 100 divided by 10 equals to 10. So I'm assuming it's 10 by 1. So if each person is producing 10 units. So what do you think, like a rational human being, will you have the same energy to cover the distance that you did in the first 30 minutes to cover the same distance in the last 30 minutes? So do you think you will have the same energy level? Or by energy level, I mean, will you have the same velocity or the speed? You own, right? You own, because when you're walking, maybe when you started walking, in the first 30 minutes, you have covered a lot. Let's say 3 kilometers. In the second 30 minutes, you have covered, let's say, 1.5 kilometers. So you have already covered 4.5. Now, in the last 1 hour, let's assume you have covered, let's say, 0.7, zero point 0.8 and zero point 0.7 respectively. So the problem with average product or this calculation is it gives us an idea about the production, but it does not give us the accurate information or the precise information regarding how much I'm benefited or the change happening, right, from point to point, which is actually which can be observed from the marginal product calculation. Because now if you think, when you're walking, think of the same example. So when you started from here, let's say this is 30, what this is 1 hour, this is 90, this is 120, right? So 30 minutes. So if you have covered, let's say, um, 2 kilometers, 1.5 kilometers, now you have covered, let's say, 3.5, 1 kilometers. So 1.2 কত হলো 2.7 to 4.7 and 1.3, let's say. So এটাকে 1.3 দিই। So let's say 1.4 and 1.1. Okay, so now you can actually analyze how much you have walked from one point to another point, or in other words, how much your productivity was, because you have the information. So you want to calculate from this point to this point, then this point to this point, 60 to 90, 90 to 120, right? You can calculate this, and you can get an idea how your speed sort of change, or how much effort you had to put, and how much outcome you enjoyed as you increased your effort level, which is your labor here. Now, this is a simple example, all right? Uh, I've just shared this one so that you get an idea how was the difference between the average product and marginal product. But of course, you're going to look at a different case, like where we are going to use like labor hours or labor worker. So try to solve this one. Let me give you an example. So you have quantity and labor 0, 1, uh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Acha, let me change this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 8, 10, 11. Now calculate the average product and the marginal product, everyone. I'm giving you, let's say, 8 minutes. Calculate the average product and marginal product. Because I have to see who's putting some effort. I'm not saying whether you got it right or not. I'm not really bothered about that. I just want to see some sort of participation, some sort of effort that sends a signal that I'm trying at least. So এটা একটু মাথায় রাখবেন, okay? Anyways, so AP, the first one is 0. MP,
Undefined.
পার্সেন্টটা আসবে না
undefined, right? We can't really calculate that. What about the second one, point B?
1.5 or 3.
3. Then point C.
2.67
2.67
and 5.
Okay. ঠিক আছে, বাকিরাও বলুক একটু। আর D, anyone else?
2.5 এর 2
2.5.
আচ্ছা,
স্যার স্ক্রিনে কি কিছু লিখছেন?
না আমি এখন লিখবো। Acha. So this is 1.5. So this is 0, this is undefined, and this is 3. Then 8. Eta koto আসছে? 8 by 3 is 2.67, right? And this one, 8, 5 divided 5. Then we have 4, 2.5. Here we have 2. Then this one is 2.1. Nakina, 2.2.
2.2.
2.2. And then this one is 1, 1. ঠিক আছে? সবার সেম আসছে নাকি একটু দেখেন। Just check,
So we
cross
can't
check.
find the first
We can't? Sorry?
find the first MP because we don't have the previous
Yeah,
data.
yeah, yeah. So
স্যার এই
now if
ক্ষেত্রে
you,
আমরা কি করব, মানে যদি আহ, করতে না পারি ক্যালকুলেশন, সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কি খালি রাখবো জায়গাটা?
হ্যাঁ এই যে এভাবে রেখে দিই this
ওকে
this one. এটা blank. So then if you plot this, so we will actually superimpose two curves here. So that meaning that we will have two curves on the same plane. So this one is এখানে on the vertical axis we will have AP comma MP, and here we will have the labor. All right, I'm sorry, আমি এটা কেন বললাম? So so AP or MP graph we are going to draw this, but based on output আর কি. So based on output, all right, based on output. So the graph is will be something like this. So if you plot the graph, if you plot the coordinates, you will get something like this: APL and MPL. So marginal productivity of labor and average productivity, average product of labor. Now, what you need to understand here is why is it of this shape? So usually, if you just plot the graphs, sorry, if you plot the graph simply based on output and labor, you'll get a total product curve, and which is something like this, total product curve. Now, this indicates a very important concept of economics, which is called diminishing marginal returns. Diminishing marginal returns, or you can, in short, you can say diminishing marginal. So what this indicates is as you increase more labor, so if you keep on increasing more labor, there will be a point after which you won't get any significant change in your output level. So even if I hire and if I keep on hiring more workers, my output won't increase significantly. Now it increases initially the rate. However, see, you see it increases at a decreasing rate. So MP, so which is the productivity, right? The change in rate. So the rate of change, it increases at a decreasing rate. Increases at a decreasing rate. Now, this indicates the level increment. So your level wise, your output level wise, it increases. So it's going up. However, if you look at the slope, it decreases. So if you want to, after a certain point, if you want to increase the Q, you actually need to increase a lot of labor hours here, or number of workers are here. So this is the law of diminishing marginal returns. Law of diminishing marginal returns. Now, MP, the marginal product. So if this is the MP, marginal product, let's take a look at the values. So here, of course, the first one is 0. AP increases. AP increases 1.5, 2.6. So what this means on average, the workers are producing 1.5 units. However, the marginal productivity of labor gives us information on how much the additional worker contributed, because you're hiring someone. So how much the additional worker contributed to your production. Of course, not necessarily this extra person sort of uh, produce 3 units, not like that. All right, maybe you needed at least at least two people to produce this. So 2.67, again, on average, 3 people are producing 2.67 units. However, here the marginal productivity indicates that since you hired another person, so you have 3 workers working for you now. So that additional worker increase the output level, which is the Q, by 5 units. So MP goes increases as well. Now here you see AP falls, MP falls, right? Now graphically, if you plot it, so initially MP is actually greater than the AP. So MP is greater than the AP. And this is a rough sketch, all right? So MP is greater than the AP. But after some point, MP, so AP is greater than MP. Now, usually when this happens, so after they coincide, you see AP becomes greater in terms of numbers than the MP. So it actually starts falling. So it actually, I mean, I to accurately draw query. So this is AP. So after a certain point, the MP falls. The MP starts falling here, right? MP falls. MP falls. Now, as long as the value of the marginal product is greater than the average product, so the marginal product is greater than the average product, the average product will continues to increase. So the average product continues to increase. So here it is increasing, right? The average product increases. The moment MP is less, so this part, MP is less than AP, the average product starts falling. So the average product starts falling. All right, কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন আছে এখানে?
স্যার এটা কেন হয়? আমরা তো লেবার বাড়াইতেছি কিন্তু এভারেজ প্রোডাকশনটা কেন কম?
আচ্ছা, কে বলতে পারবে এটা কেন হতে পারে? আর এটা কি বলবো আবার?
রিসোর্সটা কি সেম থাকবে?
কোয়েশ্চেনটা আবার বলেন ওনাদেরকে।
স্যার এভারেজ প্রোডাক্টে তো নরমালি লেবার বাড়ালে প্রোডাক্টিভিটি বাড়ার কথা, কিন্তু পরের দিকে কেন কমতেছে জিনিসটা?
এভারেজ, আচ্ছা, কেন কমতেছে? এভারেজ প্রোডাক্টের ফর্মুলাটা বলেন একটু। AP equals to
কোয়ান্টিটি বাই লেবার।
labor. Good. So you see after certain point, এই যে MP যেটা বলেছিলাম, সো এই গ্রাফটা চিন্তা করেন, ঠিক আছে? সরি, এই গ্রাফ ড্র করা এত ঝামেলা। Think of this graph. So QL, right? So after this point, you see, if you want to increase your Q, ঠিক আছে, আপনার স্লোপটা কি হবে? Something like this, right? এটা বুঝতে পারছেন যে কোশ্চেন করেছেন?
জি স্যার।
এখানে কি হচ্ছে এটা বলেন, এটা কি বুঝায়?
পজিটিভ স্লোপ।
পজিটিভ স্লোপ না, এই এক পজিটিভ নেগেটিভ স্লোপ শিখলে হবে নাকি? হোয়াট ডাজ দিস মিন এটা বলেন। এনিওয়ান এলস, হোয়াট ডাজ দিস ইন্ডিকেট? লেটস সে এটা Q1 Q2 Q3, এনিওয়ান?
কোয়ান্টিটি প্রোডাকশন আস্তে আস্তে মানে কম রেটে লাগছে।
So you see, hey, good. So if you want to move from this point to this point, so Q1 থেকে Q2, if you want to increase your production from Q1 to Q2, level production increment, you need to increase a significant number of labor hours, right? Then if you further wish to increase your production level, then you see you need to increase from L2 to L3. However, the change in the production level is just like, it's minimal, but it's same actually here. So there won't be any significant change. So what this indicates, so look at the number. So if your AP, if your labor, this one increases significantly and this one does not increase that much, what will happen to AP? যে অরিজিনাল যে কোশ্চেন করেছেন উনি বলেন
জি
আনসার
স্যার,
যে
এপি কমে যাবে, কমে যাবে।
এক্স্যাক্টলি, ঠিক আছে, the AP will fall, এটাই। So because and it is also linked to the marginal productivity.
স্যার কিউটা সিগনিফিকেন্টলি বাড়তেছে না কেন?
কিউটা কেন বাড়ে না আমি বলি। সো ল অফ ডিমিনিশিং মার্জিনাল রিটার্নস, দ্য রেশনালটা বললেই হবে। সো when you're studying, all right, so when you're studying, let's say as a student, your outcome is what? Your outcome is, let's say your academic performance, or let's say there is only one course that you are studying and the result, right, that you want to obtain. Now when you study, you will realize that even if you study for 2 hours, the energy level is not the same. Energy level বলতে হচ্ছে যে, let's say the output that you will get or the outcome here is not the same because your brain needs rest, right? So when I'm studying, say rationally চিন্তা করেন, when I'm studying, while studying the first 45 minutes, I'll be really attentive. I can catch everything, I can learn a lot because I have that motivation. But slowly it dissipates, slowly it sort of fades away, right? So the reason is my brain, it's not functioning in the same way as it did in the first 45 minutes. Now in our real life, the way we are engineered, even if you're drinking something, so it is related to consumers theory utility. Let's say when you go to these restaurants, let's say with unlimited offers or blah blah blah, when you keep on eating, there is a time when you tell yourself, no, this is enough, I can't eat anymore. So this is actually diminishing marginal returns. So if you want to get more satisfaction, if you want to get more outcome, more production, you need to increase the labor, or you need to increase, let's say, some other factor, a lot, ঠিক আছে? So this is the idea of law of diminishing marginal returns. You can't, so this is also reflects the scarcity of resources. This also reflects that you have to understand that it is not always going up. So the output will not always increase as you increase the labor, no. তাহলে তো বাংলাদেশের সব ফ্যাক্টরি, so because there is a resource constraint, so you have to understand the resource constraint.
স্যার এখানে লেবার বাড়ানো মানে কি ওয়ার্ক আওয়ার বাড়ানো নাকি লেবারের সংখ্যাটা বাড়ানো?
দুইটাই হতে পারে, দুইটাই হতে পারে, it's the same. ওকে, দুটো এটা ডিপেন্ড করে কনটেক্সট, আমি এক্সাম্পলে কি দিয়েছি আর কি, ইট ক্যান বি বোথ। সো লেবার ইজ জাস্ট দ্য ফ্যাক্টর, অলরাইট? ওকে।
Sir, can you show the first graph
হুম,
of APL and MPL? Yeah, this
হুম,
one. Okay, sir.
বলেন।
So I just wanted to
আচ্ছা,
see the markings.
okay. So now we have covered output so far, right? But we do have cost. So what is cost? So whenever we talk about output, we also need to realize that there is some sort of cost associated with it, because we need the labor factor to produce some goods and services. So we talked about two factors, labor and capital. Now if we are talking about labor and capital, so there must be a cost factor as well, cost associated with this labor and capital factor. কিভাবে? So what is the cost of the labor factor? So what's the cost of labor factor? Anyone? Normally, what's,
Yes,
sorry?
wages, salary.
Wages, very good. So wages. So cost of labor factor would be wages, right? Then cost of capital, এটা আপাতত it's actually rent, ঠিক আছে? The cost of capital হচ্ছে rent, usually rent বলে থাকি আমরা। um, Now let's focus on one factor. So the when we talk about এটাতে, we'll talk about this later, don't worry. But when we talk about cost, total cost, so total cost can be divided into two parts. One is the fixed cost, another one is the variable cost. Fixed cost and variable cost. Now fixed cost would reflect which factor? কে বলতে পারবে?
Uh, capital.
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 Capital. And variable cost would be the labor. Now just think of, let's say if you have, let's say আমাদের classroom, in our classrooms we had AC, right? So AC,
স্যার ফিক্সড কস্ট কেন ক্যাপিটাল হইলো?
because in the short run, so acha, we are focusing on the short run এখনো. So in the short run, capital is a fixed variable, okay? Labor is a fixed, capital is a fixed factor, labor is a variable factor. So the cost associated with capital would be fixed. For example, if you think of the AC, ঠিক আছে, in your classroom. So AC itself is what? Is it a fixed factor or variable factor? AC.
It's a fixed.
It's a fixed because it's a machine, or it's a fixed, right? It's a capital. However, what is it that that capital has, which is a variable?
Sir, electricity bill.
The electricity bill, right? So that is a variable. So AC itself is, let's say, 40,000 taka, so it is a fixed cost. The AC, in the AC sort of the expense related to AC was 40,000 taka. However, what is the variable here? The usage. So it depends on the utility. So what's the utility bill? Now, in economics, when you think of production, so the total cost would be fixed cost plus the variable cost. Now, if I divide this TC by Q, which is cost per unit, right? So this is cost per unit. Cost per unit. Cost per unit production. So cost per unit equals to FC by Q plus VC by Q. Now, what is it? This is nothing but the average total cost. This is nothing but the average fixed cost. And this is the average variable cost. right? সবাই বুঝতে পেরেছেন এটা? Any question? So this is
স্যার
TC
একটা
by Q is just average total cost. FC by Q would be the average fixed cost. VC by Q is the average variable expense or cost. বুঝতে পেরেছেন এটা? Any question anyone?
স্যার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল স্যার,
হ্যাঁ
ভেরিয়েবল
বল।
কস্টটা আরেকবার একটু বলবেন কাইন্ডলি?
So variable cost is nothing but the cost that changes. It can change. For example, let's say variable cost equals to WL. So wage, let's say this is fixed. Let's say $5 times L. Now L can be anything. L is the number of hours. So if L equals to 5, your VC would be 5 times 5. If L equals to 10, your VC would be 5 times 10. So it changes. So 25, here it's 50. So it changes, right? So it's variable. However, when we talk about the fixed expense, let's say the ASIC, the cost, let's say the production facility, um, it took about, let's say, $1,000 to set up the production facility. So you spend $1,000 on setting up the production facility, and this is a fixed expense. This won't change, but this can change. So that's the variable expense. All right. Now ATC equals to AFC plus AVC. Average total cost equals to average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Now, what would be the marginal cost? What do you think? So what would be the marginal cost? Can anyone tell me what could be the formula to calculate the marginal cost?
Del TC by del Q.
Very good. Del TC by del Q. Excellent. So the change in total cost. So let's change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. So how much cost I have to incur more because I have increased my production. So that's the marginal cost factor. So how much I have to incur more to produce because I've decided to increase my production. So this is the marginal cost. This is sort of the opposite of marginal productivity, right? Because if you think of MP and MC, so MP, when it reaches its maximum level, what do you think would be MC? So when MP reaches its maximum level, what do you think would happen to the marginal cost?
Minimum.
Minimum. Why? What's the explanation? এটা আমাকে বলেন. Why it's the minimum?
স্যার বিকজ হচ্ছে এমপি যদি ম্যাক্সিমাম হয় তার মানে হচ্ছে ডেল কিউটা মানে ডেল কিউটা হচ্ছে বেশি হবে।
Very good. Very good. Exactly. So MP maximum means highest productivity, maximum productivity, right? So when we say maximum productivity, a highest level of productivity, that means you're producing the most in terms of the quantity and with the resources that you have, like with the labor number that you have. Now, if you're producing the maximum quantity level, here the del Q, as he rightly stated, del Q would be the highest. That means marginal cost would be the lowest, would be at its lowest, which is the minimum level. So MP, so our productivity highest money key. I'm being cost effective, right? So productivity highest means minimum cost associated with the production, which is the marginal cost here. Minimum cost associate বলা উচিত হবে না, more like you're being really cost effective. Because minimum cost একটা জিনিস, আবার cost effective কিন্তু আরেকটা জিনিস. These are two different things. When we say minimum cost, it can be just simply the in terms of cost level. For example, we have total cost 100, total cost 2 300, total cost 500. Now, minimum cost would reflect this, but not necessarily this is the cost effective state. All right, it can be 300 or 500 depending on where your marginal productivity is as well. So cost effective is a bit different uh, thing. Anyway, so the marginal productivity cost is marginal cost equals to the del TC by del Q. Now, if you think of numbers, before that, let's just focus on something else. Why do we need this? Why do we need to learn total cost? Why do we need to understand the dynamics of cost, how cost changes? Why is it important for the consumers to understand uh, the cost factor? Why not just look at the output factor? কেউ বলতে পারবেন? আউটপুট বলতে হচ্ছে যে এমপি যেটা বললাম। Why do we need this information?
Sir, calculate profit.
Calculate?
Profit.
Very good. How do we calculate profit? You're absolutely right.
Sir, যে
Total revenue, এটা একটু
minus total cost.
very good. Total revenue minus total cost. You see, when we say profit, profit comprises total revenue and total cost. And we look at the difference between these two uh, um, parameters, like the total revenue and the total cost. For example, if I'm producing something, so total revenue formula, we have already studied this, P times Q. Now, total cost equals to বললাম fixed cost plus variable cost, right? But however, এটা কিন্তু different function আসতে পারে in different functions, and then like, for example, it can be something like this, FC plus WL plus RK, right? So where this is nothing, so RK টা তো আর হবে না এখানে, sorry, because আমরা short run নিয়ে কথা বলছি, so WL এরকম হতে পারে, so this is a function, so where W times L is nothing but the variable expense. আচ্ছা, so total revenue minus total cost. For example, if you're
স্যার
making
ডাব্লিউএল টা কি বললেন?
this is the variable expense, wage times wage rate times labor equals to variable expense. So for example, let's say you're making one let's say P equals to 10. এভাবে না বলি, so profit equals to 100 টাকা, ঠিক আছে? হ্যাঁ বলেন।
So what is W?
ওয়েজ রেট বা ওয়েজেস, ওয়েজ পার রেট, যেটা এখানে ওয়েজ রেট বলেছি, $5 per hour.
Okay, sir.
So profit equals to 100. Okay, so this is profit. So pi দিয়ে আমরা ডিনোট করছি, so profit equals to 100. Now pi equals to, if this is 100, now it can be written in several ways. Like for example, 140 minus 40, right? 120 minus 20, 160 minus 60. So what is happening here is, what I want you to understand intuitively is, like, when you increase your revenue, you see your cost also goes up to some extent. Now if you think the price is fixed, the price per unit is fixed, as well as the cost per unit is fixed, cost per unit, okay? So if the cost per unit is fixed and the price per unit is fixed, then you have to understand that this is P times Q, and this is the total cost. Now total cost is nothing but what? C times Q, right? Total cost is nothing but the cost times the quantity that you're producing. Here, if these two are fixed, Q is an important factor, because if you increase the quantity level, your total cost would also go up. Now, this is where firms' objective or firms' decision making comes in, like how to find the balance between the generating more revenues and minimizing the cost. So for the producers, so their ultimate objective is what? Producers want to maximize their profit, their profits. So they want to maximize their profits. Now, there are two approaches that they could do this. Key approach theta. There are two approaches. What are the approaches? They want to maximize this profit. But how can they do this? এখানে দুইটা অ্যাপ্রোচ আছে।
স্যার either increase total revenue or
Very good. So either you maximize the revenue or minimize the cost. Either you maximize the revenue or minimize the cost. Now, whatever works for you. As long as you can attain this maximum profit level, you are happy. So you don't really care whether you're reaching this point by maximizing your revenue or minimizing your cost. So this is the objective, right, for any producers, to maximize their profit. Now, this is something that you don't need to remember, but if you do, like for consumers, the objective is to maximize their utility. All right. So for the consumers, so for when we talk about the consumptions, consumers theory, or what about the consumption, then we will look at the maximization of utility level. Acha. Now, just give just do some maths, basic maths again. So Q L, আচ্ছা QL লাগবে না আপাতত, Q আচ্ছা এখন যেটা হচ্ছে এইভাবে করি, হ্যাঁ। 50, 75, 100, 125. Hmm. Now try to solve this. এই টেবিলটা সলভ করার চেষ্টা করেন everyone. Try to solve. Fill out this table. So
Sir,
what
I
will
didn't understand something.
বলেন?
The the MPMC maximum minimum, that
So
part.
when your so when you, let's say when your marginal productivity is at the maximum level, okay, what does this mean? এটা বলেন. What does this indicate?
Sir, I'm having more quantity.
You are having more quantity, right? With the resources that you have, like the maximum level that you can achieve. So
Yes, sir.
graphically, this is, let's say if this is your MP, so this is your maximum level, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, if this is your maximum level, that means your productivity is at its maximum level. So what would happen to the cost associated with it? Costটা কি হবে?
Maximum cost?
No, মানে সব ম্যাক্সিমাম কস্ট মানে হচ্ছে সবচেয়ে বেশি খরচ হচ্ছে এখানে. So you're saying the maximum cost. That means you're spending a lot of money when you are really productive,
Oh, sir, I'm sorry. Getting the most
getting
profit.
the most out of it. Not profit, but
Yes, sir.
getting the most out of it, right? You don't really
Yes.
know profit or not because we don't have other price information, but just based on production. So you're being cost effective here. So
Yes, sir.
getting the most out of the production. Getting the most out of the resources that you have, the labor. That's why it's the minimum. So graphically, it is something like this. It is similar to this. So, so this is a marginal cost. Okay, this is marginal cost. Now, this is, let's say, downward sloping, because as you increase labor, with your cost falls. However, after a certain point, when it hits its minimum, after that, it will start going up again slowly. Why? Because see, at this, see here, the production not falling, but let's say production remains the same or constant. So this is the maximum marginal product. Now after this point, it remains constant. So that's why your marginal cost goes up, because your Q is unchanged here. Q unchanged. Now marginal cost is nothing but del C divided by del Q. So if Q unchanged and del C changes because you are hiring more people here. So remember labor. So you're hiring more people. So your cost will eventually increase because you have to pay more workers. That's why your MC increases. বুঝতে পেরেছেন এটা?
Yes, sir.
All right. So এটা কি করতে পেরেছেন? Guys, were you? So tell me this, like what would be the fixed cost here? What's the fixed cost?
100.
100. Very good. It's 100, right? So it will remain 100 because in short run, fixed expense remains unchanged. Now total cost is simply what?
FC
Total
plus
cost.
VC.
Good. 175, 200, 225, 250. The average total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost. Try to solve this. It's very easy. So the first one would be 0, right? So 0, 0, 0, an undefined. What about the average total cost here? Uh, 150 divided by 1, so 150. 175 divided by 2, so which is 87.5, right? 60.67, okay. uh 225 divided by 4, how much is it? 220 224 5
Sir, 56.25.
56.25. যাই হোক, সো এইভাবে সলভ করবেন। অ্যাভারেজ ফিক্সড কস্ট ইজ হোয়াট? সিম্পলি divide the fixed cost divide the fixed cost by the quantity level. Variable expenses জন্য is the same approach. What about the marginal cost? How do we calculate the marginal cost? So for this one, um, the marginal expense would be what?
Sir, 150 minus 100 divided by 1 minus 0.
50 divided by
1.
1. Then 25
25 divided by 1.
1, then
And then 200
So
minus
part to
75.
25.
25.
25 divided by 1, 25 divided by 1 by 1.
25.
So see here, notice this one. You see your fixed expense remains the same, right? So when we look at the marginal expense, in the short run, we're actually looking at the change in variable cost, right? We're looking at the change in variable cost divided by the quantity produced. বুঝতে পেরেছেন এটা? Because 175 minus 150, so 175 minus 150, this 100, so 100 plus 75 minus 100 minus 50, this 100 is nothing but the fixed expense. So these two cancel out each other. So 75 minus 50, the change in variable expense, so VC2 minus VC1, তারপর divide this by the quantity level. It's the same thing, আমি just একটা বললাম, those who because I might give questions like this where I might not even mention the fixed cost. So there could be problems where you would be asked to solve back calculations. All right. Any question, anyone?
No, sir.
So whatever we discussed today, so up until today, everything is included for your third quiz. So Thursday we will discuss a few more topics related to the output and cost. Sorry, the cost, but those won't be included in your quiz exam. But of course, you still need to know those for your final exams. All right, everyone, take care. Bye. See you.
Sir,
Hmm.
so